as worldwide Chief Operating Officer, Emmanuel leads Esker's operations, covering sales and marketing and consulting activities, and supervises Esker's finances, including financial communication and investor relations. Emmanuel, why don't we jump right in? Thanks again for participating today. Andy from Forrester and Christine from Arizona Cardinals set us up fantastically. So I would say, we're at that 1 yard line. So why don't we kind of dive right in? And I'd love to get some of your insights. The pandemic dominated 2020, right? It affected, the work and the livelihoods around the world. How suddenly and quickly businesses and all their accounting teams had to deal with the economic impact of the pandemic is, something finance leaders aren't going to forget anytime soon. It's changed the work of accounting and finance folks and the companies they serve in ways that will probably only be understood, years from now. How do you think what Esker does in terms of automation has contributed in helping companies work to rebuild revenue streams in 2021 and beyond?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. 2020 has been quite a year, and it's been, sometimes I think of 2020 as like a stress test for all of us, from our personal lives to our professional lives to every organization on the planet. All of a sudden, the companies saw their operations stopped, and within operations, back office particularly challenged with people having to work from home just overnight and try to keep the lights on basically in the organization. And some were ready, more ready than others, I would say, to face that situation. Some really had trouble. And at the end of the day, I think it was said during the previous presentation, when you rely on paper, if nobody's there to send the paper, receive the paper, move the paper, do something with the paper, read it, you name it, nothing's going to happen. So we received, and we were in a way pleased to receive that feedback from customers saying, thank God we have Esker. At the end of the day, that's what it was. Whether you're talking AP, you're talking AR, they were like, what, my staff is working from home. Some of my staff, I haven't seen in 1 year. I got that feedback from some customers in some places in the world. As you know, we do business worldwide, and in some places, lockdown measures have been extremely strong. And yes, you have companies that have seen their people, well, have not seen their people actually for over a year, and still they were able to do their work as if they were in the office because they had automation. At the end of the day, I think it's all about digitization of processes, automation of processes, and being able to face basically the unknown, the unexpected situation that we all had to face. And those organizations were able to do that because they were prepared, because they digitized their processes, because they changed their IT environment a little bit more. They included Esker in the IT environment. And with that in place, they could continue to operate and face the real challenges that we had to face, which was, how do I sell to my customers? How do I collect my money from my customers? How do I get my stuff from my suppliers? And how do I pay them? Because I don't pay them, they're not going to give me the goods that I need to continue my operation. So at the end of the day, all of these things are connected. I think Andy said that as well. At the end of the day, if you look at a company, it's a chain. It's not a series of boxes. Everything is connected to the next one. If you can't receive the invoices from your suppliers, if you can't book them in your system, pay them on time, they will stop delivering the goods and services that you need to serve your clients, and so on and so forth. So it's a chain of things that we need to take care of. And within the back office, it's the same thing. Everything's connected. We're talking about AP and AR. Why should we think of AP and AR together? Because they're not two separate things, because you cannot have one without the other. Otherwise, you just don't have a company.
And we've heard for years, companies having either AP or they have AR or billing. Do you think companies and specifically our customers, do you think they benefited from, or do you think they had an advantage due to having a single platform, like with the Esker solution for both AP and AR?
Yes, it's interesting, you know, when you look at the landscape of companies providing automation, back office automation in particular, Esker is a little bit unusual because we provide both. And I often get the question, why are you even trying to do that? It doesn't make sense. You know, you should have specialized solutions for everything. And then I go back to my boxes analogy. You know, then you have a series of boxes and you have to connect them, and you know they're moving in different directions, and you have to kind of like glue them together all the time. That's not Esker's vision. Esker's vision is you have one company operating, and that company needs to rely on back office systems that are consistently performing in whatever situation that we might have. So that's why Esker's vision is not to be the best in class for AP automation, to be the best in class for AR automation, etc. Esker's vision is to provide back office solutions for our clients that will allow them to automate and digitize their processes so that they can be more productive, they can be more competitive, they can serve their customers better, treat their employees better, work better with their suppliers. At the end of the day, we see that as an ecosystem. So, you know, to your question, there's a couple of examples where we would have, I have one in mind, for example, a customer in Spain, in this case, and they were an AR customer. And so they were working with us in AR. And so they were like perfectly digitized and automated in AR, but they had not done anything for the AP side. Well, guess what? Pandemic happens. They were relying on paper. They don't receive their invoices anymore, so they don't pay the suppliers anymore. And they run dealerships, you know, car dealerships, and so they don't pay the automakers anymore. They don't receive the vehicles anymore. They don't receive the parts. They can't operate. So they called us. They said, you know what? We need to do something. Please help. Please help. You know, at the end of the day, that was as simple as that. So we said, you know what? You have AR already. That means you have a portal. We're connected to your ERP already, so we can leverage that and start to build for you a simple AP automation solution that will allow you to now electronically receive your invoices directly into your ERP solution, approve them online, and pay online your suppliers so that you can essentially continue to operate. And we were able to set that up for them in a matter of 2 weeks, I think. And that was because, you know, they had AR in place, and that was because we could do both. So again, I think, it's kind of like a philosophical view of that Esker has on back office and finance in general. We think it may be different specialties that work together, but it's one thing. It's a chain. You know, if one link doesn't work, the whole thing doesn't work. So we want to help everybody.
And boy, those back office functions, if you know, we've learned one thing, right, in the past year, and it's been proven that they're often taken for granted. I mean, the back office function, I mean, it's essential to companies' operations and even competitiveness in the market. I mean, would you agree? Is that what you've seen?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. And you know, you reminded everybody that I was an accountant by trade, so I'm gonna defend my people. We're important. Come on, you know, everybody's relying on accounting, on finance, on back office in general to do their work. But it was seen very clearly that when something happens that is blocking that process, when it's preventing us in accounting and finance to do our job, the company's not running anymore. You can't operate that way. So I think it was a big reminder, and we saw that actually, frankly, in our clients and customers worldwide. They changed a little bit the way they prioritize projects. You know, before it was like, okay, well, we need to digitize AP, for example, and we convince the AP team, and you know, we win the project, and then we move to a stage where we need to actually work on the project and actually deliver the solution to the customer. We can't do that alone. We need the customers to work with us. We're not going to teach them what they need to do. We have to collaboratively, build the solution for them. And so at that point, we would compete with other projects, and that have nothing to do with us. It would be, I don't know, an ERP upgrade. It would be, I don't know, Outlook something, or, security this, security that. I mean, something else that would take away resources on the client side. And then, they would have to manage priority, and back office was not always winning, let's say, in the past. Now, I think the view has changed a little bit, and everybody is realizing that we need to have a solid back office, baseline fundamentals, so that your company is strong, your company is versatile, resilient to whatever is going to happen, because a lot can happen, as we've seen.
For sure, and we know that a lot of our customers, CIOs, CFOs, et cetera, view us as kind of on the leading edge of technology, right, for these back office process automation solutions. With our AI-based technology and synergy and other technologies that we incorporate. So looking ahead, what do you think finance and IT and even supply chain leaders should consider? I mean, what do you think the finance team of the future looks like using these types of automations?
Yeah, I think in difficult times, people agree in general that cash is king. It's all about cash. Cash flow is everything. You have to focus on that, because it's kind of the way your company is alive. It's the only way your company is going to grow in the future. You have to master your cash flow, the best that you can. And guess what? Cash flow is about spending, and that's the AP side, and it's about collecting money from your customers. That's the AR side. And so order to cash, procure to pay. At the end of the day, we're talking about cash. So you need to have very solid foundations in order to manage that process efficiently and effectively. And once again, I will stress, because I hear a lot of people thinking, I'm good, I have automation. I have that, because they did a small project. They have AP automated, for example. Oh yeah, I can receive my invoices by paper. Okay, fine, it's snail mail, but I receive my invoices, I scan them, and I've implemented OCR, and it feeds my ERP, so it's automated. Well, one, not really, because what happens next, and what happens if nobody's there to collect the paper, nobody is there to approve the invoices and release them for payment, etc. And two, it's one small piece of the whole chain. Think about the whole chain. Think about performance. Think about the overall performance of your back office that is going to partially drive the overall performance of your company. So you may have pieces of automation in your business. It would surprise me that you have complete automation to the extreme level. That's probably not true. And, so I caution everybody, just go back and look. I can tell you at my time at Esker, and even before, which is a long time ago, but still, before my time at Esker, I mean, I've seen countless situations where people thought they were automated, but at the end of the day, when you drill down, like an auditor does, really going deep into the process, you realize there's a ton of manual tasks really involved in that process. So you're not really automated. So think global, think outside of the small boxes that you have in mind when you think of your processes. Think about the consequences of each small process onto the other. Cash applications is a great example. For example, it's a small process that people very often neglect, but if you don't have that down really well, that means you don't know what your customers owe you. You can't effectively collect your money from your customers, because you don't know what they owe you, what they don't. And so you look bad in front of your customers. You're trying to collect something that they've paid already, or you're not trying to collect something that you really should. And you're taking risks. If your customers start not to pay you because they run into trouble, it's going to take some time for you to realize that. So you're going to take more and more risks from a collection standpoint. not even going into the consequences on DSO. So at the end of the day, it's a good example of how a small thing can have gigantic sometimes consequences if you look at the big picture. So my advice is look at all of your processes, think about global automation and not just specialized solutions. And of course, we can help you with that.
You know, the last 18 months, right, it's challenged a lot of businesses, but, you know, it also presented some opportunities for many of our customers. I mean, especially those in industries, building materials is coming to mind, life sciences, you know, consumer packaged goods. You know, you mentioned companies who have invested, right, in automation, or maybe they have somewhat invested for, you know, specific business processes because of the pandemic, right? As you mentioned, maybe needing tools accessible to, you know, remote work. What would you recommend specifically to CFOs, your peers? You know, what do they do now to maximize the investment and prepare for that future and that further digitization of finance departments?
So in addition to what I've said, which still holds basically, and you're right, by the way, you know, we keep talking about the people who faced the challenges during the pandemic. There's two kinds of challenges, you know, there's like, okay, you know, my operations are way down, but other companies saw the opposite. You know, sometimes we have a customer in mind, their volumes in terms of orders, customer orders process increased tenfold. I mean, that's a stress too. You know, how do you cope with that volume that you don't expect? Again, you need to have automation. So in addition to what I was describing earlier and look at the whole process from a holistic standpoint, another point which I think is important is basically the HR side of it. We need talent, and let's face it, you know, accounting, finance in general, back office functions are not perceived as the sexiest, you know, jobs on the planet. I'll recognize that. Although it's interesting. I mean, I got into that, so I must like it in a way. But you know, attracting talent in our field is important as well. So not only automation can help you run your company better, just perform better as a company, it can also help you attract talent. And as we move forward, as the world is becoming more and more uncertain, as unexpected things may happen in the future, what you want to handle those situations that you cannot always predict or prepare for, what you need is good, talented, committed people. If you provide them with an environment that is going to challenge them professionally, that is going to interest them, that is going to show them that you care about those functions, that you invest in those departments and in them, I think what you're going to end up with is a team of people that is going to be far more and better prepared to face the unknown and the unforeseen events that we're going to have in front of us, and far better performing teams. So I think it's kind of like that aspect that needs to be taken into account as well. Invest in the systems, invest in the people, and at the end of the day, you invest in your company.
Yeah, fantastic. Appreciate it, Emmanuel. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise.